Nobody will remember.
Got Mandy Temple, the contest director, competition director. So how's it been going?
Great, very good. We've flown most days and we're very excited to have had a safe competition, and with great weather. The speeds yesterday were completely bonkers. We couldn't believe how fast they went, not even full of water. So looking for a great race to finish the competition today.
It could be spectacular, like even more spectacular than yesterday. Or it depends on timing of trough. But I think it's going to be really, really good. Like way faster than yesterday.
Way faster.
Yeah.
So 160, 170.
It's the European ones, they get long windows.
Okay, tell us about the trough and where it is.
Yeah.
So, coming that way, I think it's actually where those alpha views are out to the southwest of here at the moment.
Right.
Which is further west than the forecast, which is a good thing.
Before they launched, they're looking at the
when the trough comes over,
observation
we're
on the
expecting
coast,
quite a
temperature
lot
drops
of
6 degrees.
Oh, really?
some storms. So
But they won't pick
if
up
it comes a bit
again.
later, then we'll get the task through before that happens.
Right. So you're hoping to
doesn't
be
happen.
on the
perhaps why it's
easterly side of the trough.
Connected on both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Right.
good.
Looking at the cloud there,
Okay,
it didn't
and,
look like
congratulations
trough was,
on winning the
wasn't-
championship.
Yeah, the bad trough.
It's starting again. No, I think it's a good
yes, I
win.
guess I
Yeah.
have. But another day flying today, and we'll
And
have
we
to
keep
have fun.
starting.
Yeah. All right. Have a great race. Okay. So how was your race
We're pretty
yesterday?
well up on it.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated. I
But
just
it's
sort
final
of
race.
Yeah.
got stuck a little low with
Well, it's
Peter
shorter
and
than
Mac,
yesterday,
and just
so
couldn't
it
quite
goes
get it. But it was quite
fast.
fast the whole day.
That's
So yeah, no, Peter was just well ahead of us
You can
and
see
sort
the
of
trough over there now.
caught nice climbs. And,
Well, the clouds anyway, they're all
but we're all
brilliant.
pretty close at the end.
All right. And what do you
Right,
think
and
of
then
today?
just sort of in the distance
Well, I don't know.
watching
It depends on
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah, that's right. Well, exactly.
yesterday. We
Well,
thought,
that's competitions.
should be a little faster, maybe.
But in a way, I'm
Depends
glad
on
we
where
had a
that
practice day that didn't work, because then we knew what to
Good
do.
morning,
today.
Sean.
Yes.
Good morning. And how was your
Yes,
race yesterday?
indeed.
Fantastic. It was a beautiful day.
We might have missed
High,
today.
fast, and cool.
We hadn't had practice day. which would have been a
Okay.
shame.
What are you expecting today?
If the weather doesn't turn uncomfortable due to the trough, it'll be another high, fast, and cool day.
Sean, I did hope to stay with the peloton, but I dropped off the back of the peloton early. Well, I chose a different line, and they got away from me. And it was rather lonely coming home, and often a little bit slower when you're by yourself. So the game plan is to stick with the peloton again today.
Okay, we got
It'll be very interesting today. If it's over developing, it could be very fast.
Okay, so that's what the pilots think of the day. Everybody's expecting a big day, but there's a certain amount of uncertainty because there's a trough. Looking out the window here, we can see lots of nice big cumulus, and there's trough clouds. So now we're only 30 seconds from the start now. As you can see, they've all been thermaling around.
Yep, they're all getting down to the height where they need to be. We gave them 7,000 feet because we figured it would be too hot if they came too low, and there's nobody out there watching. Nobody at Lauke is going to be looking up. So
Right, so that's why the 7,000
we
foot
figured,
start.
why torture them?
Yeah, well, very good point. Right before the start.
They're all still having nightmares about Horsham, where it was 2,000 feet every day, and they struggle to get away. So
Right.
no more nightmares.
And the temperature outside at the moment is probably 30. Is it 39 already?
Yeah, it's close to 40. Yeah, close to 40.
Yeah. So we're in a nice air-conditioned office here, but out there it's 40 degrees, so it's a very hot day. And here they coming up to the start line. They got.
Yep.
In fact, the gate is now open. 15 seconds, and the first to cross the line is Pete Temple.
Interesting. So he's obviously not following anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be interesting what their tactics will be, because obviously Pete can't be beaten. He didn't even need to fly today.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a hot competition between Jeff Brown and Mackie Chikau with only 1 point between them. So I imagine they'll be keeping close tabs on each other during the day.
That's right. We should mention we'll have a quick look in a minute after they've gone across the line, and they're steady as they set out on the first leg. So pretty straightforward start. There's 5 gliders. It would be a bit different if there were 20. There's not that much. There's plenty of room, in other words, is what I'm saying. So they're all gone through the start, and hopefully they haven't unlikely to have breached a 7,000 foot height, I suppose.
Well, we had a breach yesterday. One
really?
of the pilots misjudged. He was too fast and too high. So it
Right.
can happen. It's just managing the energy. So it's quite a skill. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, so they're all across the line now. So we'll just have a look at the results. Okay, so here we are after 5 races. After 5 races, we have So I'll go straight to the total. That's race 6. Okay, so Pete Temple on 24 points. So Pete Temple is the champion because the maximum points that can be gained today is 6 and
7.
Oh, sorry, 7 because there's one bonus point. Yeah, so there's 7 bonus points. So 24, 20. So if Jeff Brown wins, he could equal him. So Jeff Brown does have it. Or what would happen if there was a draw?
You could do a countback.
Right.
Then Peter wins.
Right. Okay. So Peter really can't be beaten. So congratulations to Pete Temple on winning the championship. So really today's race is about the next two. The next two are Jeff Brown and Maki Chikau, who've been flying very well and very close to each other throughout the entire competition. And now it really is going to be a race to the finish to see who ends up in second place on the podium. So that should be a very, very interesting race there. The other two pilots cannot catch up unless Dave Peach wins. He would get 7 points. That would put him in third position.
Yes.
So David Peach could win today. And so it remains to be seen who those place 2 and place 3 are up for grabs.
Because, of course, the day before yesterday, there was only 9 seconds between those two. So
yes, so it's certainly completely possible that Dave Peach could pull one out of the bag today and come in first place. So they're off on track, heading to their first thermal. They're up to now. I always get this wrong. What's their altitude?
They're all about 2,000 metres. They're looking for the first climb. They started at 2-1, 2-2. They're probably cruising under the clouds, working out where it's going to be worth turning. I think we looked yesterday, they'd only stopped in about 6 proper thermals. They'd had some tries and some deviations, but I think there are about 6 proper thermals. So I guess they've got to make the decision when it's worth turning. And
today's task distance is 315 kilometres.
Yeah, it's a little bit shorter. Because of the uncertainty over the weather, we're a bit nervous to set it too long. So who knows? I mean, yesterday we thought we'd set a 3-hour task, but Pete finished in 2 hours, 29 and 30 seconds. Go figure. So who knows?
152 kph was the task time yesterday.
Only partially ballasted. That's just bonkers. Just completely bonkers.
Well, it was a very good day.
Extremely good day.
I haven't looked myself to see on WeGlide what other pilots did, but I know that there were some pretty long flights from here and from other places in Australia. So so the first turn point again is now, or the next turn point is, that is the first turn point, is Jamestown.
Yes.
And
that's 150 from Gawler. That's our 300-kilometre milk run. There's a few pilots at the club actually in single-seaters that are trying to do that today. They want to go to Jamestown return. So there'll be a bit of traffic, but I expect these guys are well out in front. Don't think the inexperienced guys in a discus are going to catch them.
No, or if they did take off ahead of them, they'll be overhauling them pretty soon. I
think so. So they're going around together again, aren't they? I guess they're looking for that first climb there.
Yeah, well, they've only just headed off and they've got 150k to go, and they're all together at this time. So Pete Temple isn't out the front.
No. I did speak to Jeff Brown and I said, are you going to try and sort of just hang back a bit behind Mac and then just kind of go over the top at finish? But he wouldn't tell me what his plans were. Right. I don't know if he didn't have any or he was keeping it close to his chest. But obviously that's what he needs to do. He's got to sort of keep a track of where Mac is and try and stay close.
Indeed. He has to beat Mac today and Mac has to beat him. And Dave Peach has to beat everybody.
It'd be nice to see Matthew on the podium again. He was on the podium on day 3, I think it was. So
that's right.
Yeah, he's got a slightly older style glider and less experience, I guess, as well. So, okay, it's interesting. Max stopped for a climb. The others are still going. Then we've got that mass calculation again, haven't we?
Yes.
See how that works out for him.
He certainly didn't need the climb at this point. But I guess he thought he found nothing to be lost at this early stage of the race.
But it's amazing nowadays that we've got the tracking. You can see that they'll go through an area where there's buoyant air, and there'll be different people turning in different directions, finding climbs, different cores, all associated with a similar area of sky or a cloud. See, they're all turning now. Mac was just a little bit early. So you learn a lot more when you analyse the traces about where the lift is and the patterns of the lift.
Well, today also they may well be, not necessarily, but they may well be picking up thermals underneath clouds. And the clouds are looking much bigger than yesterday. We were talking yesterday about scattered cumulus being 2 to 4 octaves. Well, today it's probably going to be. Looks like it's going to be underneath the trough. Going to be broken underneath the trough, indeed.
Yeah.
And then scattered cumulus. So there's more cumulus, and they're already much bigger.
Yeah. No sign of any overdevelopment at the moment. It was predicted, but we just have to wait and see. The guys are aware of it. So.
Yeah, there'll be overdevelopment in places, whether it's exactly here. Because looking at that from this window anyway, it looks like the trough may well have already. We may well already can't really be on the other side of it, can we?
No, I think it's passed through. I think we're on the other side.
We are on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think so.
We're moving quite quickly. That's the that's the satellite image. I'll just update it so we can just get a better idea on where that trough is. So there's Port Pirie, there's Clare, Nuriupta. Oh yeah, look, see where we are. Yeah, the trough is we're now on the western side of the trough. And when we were speaking with I was speaking with Pete Temple on the grid, he was expecting that we might be on the eastern side of the trough or underneath the trough. But we're looking out the window there. That's the main body of the trough.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see when they get back, if they were under the trough, if they were able to cruise along under the clouds, or if they had to just fly in the blue, looking over their shoulders at the clouds. Hopefully the test's pretty close to where the trough is. That's what we tried to do, but you can't always get it right.
Yeah, yep. So Mac is out in front again.
That looks like yesterday's task.
No,
that's fine. It's
Oh,
good.
good.
It's all right. It's just me. We're good. Yeah, Mac's in front again. He is. But he's low. Est. So they're deviating, so they must be under the trough, but there's no reason they'd take such a big deviation, or taking the same deviation unless there's good reason. So I guess what you can see by their track is the line of the clouds, associated with the trough. So it's going to be interesting when they decide to turn right and go to the turn point, and then how they're going to come back and how much deviation they're going to be prepared to make. So they were pretty happy yesterday when they landed. I was wondering if they might be a bit disappointed that it was a short race, but they weren't complaining. But they were all smiling. They were all pretty happy. So that was good. It's getting going fast.
Well, they certainly enjoyed the race yesterday.
Yeah.
Pete was in the video of his after landing yesterday. He was very happy with the race yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fastest he's ever flown is 160, but that was fully ballasted, and he's giving away 94 kilos compared to max weight. So to fly almost 100 kilos underweight and do 152 or something is just bonkers, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly hadn't expected that or anticipated that. And sadly, I spoke to one of the club members who'd flown on the single-seaters yesterday, and I said, "Oh, how was your day? How was the weather?" And he went, "Oh, it's all right."
All right.
So I'm not quite sure what that means.
Yeah,
I think perhaps he didn't make the best of it, but it was certainly one of the best days I've seen.
Yeah, it looked great. And this is what Pete Temple and Mac Ichikawa had to say about it. Sweeping brush, they're looking for the
I
sweep
feel like
brush.
we go anywhere, you just roar on
Sweeping brush.
until we fell into that hole.
Yes. And there's Pete Temple out on his own again. He's left the other group behind. And so we now have Mac in one race, Pete in another one, and the other three in another one.
Yeah, Pete's never been a follower. He doesn't like company, really. He's much happier on his own. So I suppose now that his position is secure, he's happy to sort of take a bit of a risk and go off.
Yes.
Whereas other days he was waiting at the top of the thermals just to make sure he had company.
And some of the other days were blue, and now we've got a trough day with lots of cumulus.
Well, we don't know whether
some
there's some
depends
cumulus,
whether you're
yeah.
under it or not.
Yeah.
Glorious looking day.
Yeah, but you can see how it's we're just looking out the window. It's like a string of beads, so it's flat for a little while, and there's a big dome comes up, and that's kind of what was forecast, that periodically there might be areas of overdevelopment, possible rain and gust fronts and things like that. So
it's nearly 2 o'clock, and it's not doesn't look like a runaway day.
it doesn't. No.
It doesn't mean there won't be overdevelopment, but it's not looking like a huge runaway day with CBs forming immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So Mac. They're still looking for a proper climb, perhaps even to get up to cloud base.
Maybe want to reconnect. Yeah.
Yeah. So over with the group of 3 gliders, we got Jeff Brown and Matt Atkinson and David Peach. Now David Peach, as we mentioned, if he wins today, then that would put him in
Equal third, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. So he's
although if he was equal third, we'd do a count back.
I'm not sure if he was equal third. I think he was going to just be third, actually.
Okay.
Let's have a look. So he's on 9 points, and if he got 7 points, he would be on third position, right? Unless, depending on what Mac does, and if Mac comes second, then he'd be on equal third with Jeff.
We need a spreadsheet, don't we? Then that. If that, then this.
He needs Jeff Brown to come second and him to come first. So a little bit of a tall order, perhaps. It would be a bit like picking a trifecta to get that one. But for Mac and Jeff Brown, it's much more straightforward. They have to beat each other.
Yes.
Okay, so here we have Maki Chikawa. We're not getting a ribbon anymore, but we have him definitely seeming to head off in a different direction. And I wonder if that really is his strategy today. He has to beat him, so get away from him.
Yeah, as we said, he can't beat him by doing the same. So now's a day. We talked about that earlier in the week, didn't we? That earlier in the competition they're going to be more conservative, but at the end of the competition, when it's clear what's happened, then they've got to make a decision to do something different.
Yep.
So they did mention that they saw a lot more gliders yesterday, being a Saturday, being a weekend, and being probably the best day of the year. So they said the sky was quite busy yesterday. It wasn't dangerous, there were no issues, but they said they had a bit more company yesterday than they'd been used to.
Yep.
So good to see the thermals were being made use of.
That's right. Well, as you say, apart from anything else, it's a Saturday in January. This is the peak of our season. And we've got Jeff Brown and Dave Peach and Matt Atkinson up over 3,000 meters now, or 3,000 meters. Just under 3,000 meters, 10,000 odd feet. And Matt Atkinson is headed off.
Yeah, it's good to see him in the mix. It's good. So it's getting a bit windy out there. Let's just have a look. There's thermal going through.
So, with regards to it being windy, are we expecting wind just associated with the large clouds in the trough?
Yeah, just local effects. Yeah, there's no significant strong wind forecast. But interesting, looking at now, there are 2 lines of clouds. There's 2 parallel lines, so that may be why Mac's a little bit to the west.
Yes, that's right. So,
and Peter's a bit to the right, so maybe they're actually choosing different cloud streets, if that's what they're called.
And Mac is interestingly directly on track, and the others are east of track, which is where, looking out the window, where it looks like they're heading at the trough. So Mac might be trying to see if flying fewer kilometers going directly on track
more efficient,
is more efficient if he can still get the same rate of climb and still the same climbs as the others.
I'll just check the observations and see what the weather's doing. See what we've got here. So the temperature outside is 39.7 degrees.
Right.
Very pleasant. The wind is west-northwest at 21 knots. That's interesting.
21 knots.
Whereas Adelaide Airport, which is near the coast, the temperature there got up to 35 degrees, then went down to 28 degrees, but is
Right.
now back up to 32 degrees.
Uh-huh.
And the wind there is west-southwest. So it's certainly a complicated weather pattern today, because normally once the wind changes, the temperature drops and that's the end of the day, but it seems to be regenerating, so perhaps that's what the models were indicating. So yeah, now they're getting these bigger heights, you've got to think that they are connecting with something and getting
That's right.
closer to cloud base. So fingers crossed we got the task right and got it under the clouds like we did yesterday. That was the ambition. But you see how there's two parallel tracks now, and looking out the window it does look like there are two lines of clouds. And it looks like Max picked the westerly one and the others are in the easterly one. They were saying they started glide yesterday below glide, some of them as much as 3,000 feet, hoping to pick it up on the way, and they did.
You mean final glide?
Final glide yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, apart from one hole that they all seem to go through, associated a bit about 50 kilometres north, they all flew an area of sink. I don't know what.
Farrell Flat, that was the Farrell Flat black hole, wasn't it?
Right.
That was yeah.
Right, okay.
There's something about it.
That's the black hole where we lost transmission as well
yeah.
yesterday.
I'm sure if Ingo was here, he'd tell us there's something happening in the soil. It's a different sort of soil or something.
Yes.
That's what causes it.
Well, it was quite interesting today. I went for a flight today in a powered airplane with the president of the Gliding Federation of Australia, Steve Pegler. Very, very interesting. Went over to the Murray River and looking at the different soils and vegetation. To the east and south here, I think we've got a lot of wheat.
Yep.
And then to the north and west, we've got the Barossa Valley, which is filled with vineyards and grapes. And then when you get north of that, before the river, you come to like a big scrub. And obviously the soil is very, very sandy there. And there's lots of trees, vegetation. So it's quite varied, the soil around here. So you're right, Ingo would definitely have something to say about it, I think. So Mac's gamble of going off to that to the west, looking for a climb, hasn't done anything for him. He's now a little bit behind everybody, but he's slightly more on track. But he certainly hasn't gained anything among them as yet.
Well,
But
he's closer to the
days.
turn and he's a bit higher. He is close to the turn.
Yeah, he is close to the turn, but they've got a ways to go before they get to that first turn point.
Yeah, I guess.
So at this stage. And he's heading back in their direction.
Yeah.
So maybe he could have been testing, will it work if I go a bit further west? Or maybe it was just something he saw in the sky. We'll have to ask him later. So they're not all uniformly climbing in the same thermal.
No, they're a bit more spaced out than previous days, which makes it more interesting. You can get to see the different energy lines and the different cores that they're taking and the different decisions that they're making. But with it being such close racing, you can just see that one decision at some point has made the difference. You think back to 2 days ago where Mac was 9 seconds in front of Jeff Brown, it's just so close. So one decision at a critical point can just make an enormous difference to the outcome at the end.
And Pete Temple and Matt Atkinson are climbing up to 3,000 odd meters again, just reaching 3,000 meters. And Uniform Kilo Golf, which is Jeff Brown, he kind of tried, but didn't get the core there.
Yeah, he's flying a big deviation, isn't he? He's a long way from the...
Well, it looks like he's getting a different core from the others.
He's almost perpendicular to the direct track. It's a big deviation. Must be a good cloud.
Well, he hopes so. It doesn't look to have worked out for him because Pete and Matt Atkinson have already headed off after having climbed to 3,000 meters, whereas Jeff Brown is still searching.
Yeah.
It looks like he might not have even found it.
Yeah. It does seem to indicate that there's more than one single line of clouds, though, which is sort of how it looks out the window. It's kind of broken up. And it is a most unusual day. I can't remember a day like this.
So they'll be looking for seeing different things in the sky, or seeing different clouds, and thinking, well, that's where the lift
Yep.
under that particular cloud. Which is the best track for me to take? Should I go this way, that way?
I'm sure they're looking up at the clouds and down at the shadows, and trying to work out their track. And a long way ahead as well. On a day like today, you need to plan a reasonable distance ahead and pick a good route. But it's really good to see that Zulu and Victor 8 are up in the mix, because that's what they need to do to get them on the podium. It would be lovely to do that today. So it looks like Golf One's got his green track back, and Zulu's lost his. So perhaps we're only paid for 4 tracks. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we didn't pay enough to get the 5 tracks. It's probably something we've done. But no matter. No matter.
Well, Matt Atkinson is keeping with Pete Temple, and if he's able to, that would be a very sensible thing to do.
Yes, and he'd be happy
unless
with that.
Pete hangs back today.
Yeah,
because he doesn't need to win.
Doesn't need to win. Yeah.
In which case, it would not be a good idea.
But he quite likes winning.
Yes, I know. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Exactly. Just because you've won the championship doesn't mean you don't want to win the day.
No, I mean, I did say to him, you could stay on the ground. You could save the launch money. Don't pay the fee. Come and do some commentary. You give lots of really good insights. I'm sure people are sick of listening to us. Get a new voice and a new face. And he wasn't that impressed with that idea. He didn't think that was a particularly good idea. So.
No, well, I'd prefer. Well, I wouldn't have minded swapping with him today. He could have lent me his glider, and I would have gone and flown.
Yeah, he wasn't buying it. Wasn't having it at all. So one of the options we did talk about today, if the firebombers came in, and of course what they do is they come in, they load up with their special chemicals, they go and dump their water, they come back, they do rapid circuits all the time. They use any which way to take off, whichever's quickest for them. It doesn't matter whether it's downwind, into wind, crosswind. And so the gliders would not be able to do a competition finish if the bombers were operating here. And so one of the options we discussed is that they might divert and land at Wakery, because of course they need to position the gliders for the Nationals, which start on Tuesday. So far so good. So far there are no fires. So far there are no issues. But it was one of the options we discussed. So, yeah.
Yeah, it could be that a fire starts and the firebombers have to come in and use this airport, but it could be that they only have to use it for 1 or 2 long,
Yeah.
Or it could be that they're here all day.
Yeah, I mean, on Tuesday, they were inbound. There was a fire that we could actually see from the airfield, but the fire was controlled before they arrived, and so they turned around when they were 2, 3, 4, 5 kilometres away while the guys were on task. And then later on in the day, there was a huge fire, and they were called back in. And that happened about 10 minutes after the guys landed, so that was perfect.
And where's their main airfield that they're based?
Here, they're based here.
They are based here?
Yeah, and there's another one at Mount Crawford, I think, yeah.
Right.
I don't know where they're hangared, I'm not sure, but I know the facilities are here.
Right, yeah, I wasn't sure if they were hangared on this airfield.
No, they're not hangared here.
Right.
But it helps our tenure to have them here. We
Yes.
can go to the council and say, we have the firebombers here.
Yes.
So.
Well, anyway, they do a great job, very dangerous work.
And they're so fast, so nimble, they're so quick. Yeah,
very dedicated pilots, and thank goodness we have them.
Yes, well, it's not looking good for Jeff, is it?
Not at the moment, but it looks like Mac he's got a little bit ahead now, so that's good. It's not looking terrible for Jeff. He's only just behind. It's early in the race.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the future when we get the cameras in the cockpit, it's going to make a huge difference to the coverage and make it so much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cricket stump cam, you can actually see what they're thinking and feeling and what they're seeing.
Yes.
I think we got some photos from the pilots yesterday, didn't we? Under the clouds.
I was just going to say, actually,
yeah,
we did get. So I'll try and show you what.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive. It looked lovely. So, yeah, no. So it's interesting. Different tactics today, different routes, different strategies. They're splitting up. They're probably going to finish in a more spread out times frame today. But the finishes here work really well. I think they're finishing at 600 feet above sea level because of the closeness of the town and the unlandability of the last few kilometres. And it's actually quite a nice height. We can sit outside on the balcony with the radio and just watch them fly around dumping their water and just come around and land. It's very nice for spectators.
Okay, so I just want to give you a view from Peter Temple's cockpit yesterday. This is what he saw from his cockpit yesterday. I'll leap forward here a bit.
And that's what the club member was telling me was okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you can see the shadows on the ground of the clouds. We were also talking about that yesterday or the day before, about trying to figure out when the clouds, in particular, when they're very high as they can be here, and those clouds are up at 12,000 feet. trying to figure out where exactly they are and where the best bit is. It often is easier to look on the shadows on the ground. Whereas if you're used to other conditions where the cloud base might not be quite so high, it's much easier to see. But here it can be very high. Anyway, that looks like a great day, and it was a great day. So meanwhile, back in the office, where are our boys up to?
They've got through the foul flat black hole and survived.
So they've gone through
good.
That's very good.
That's where there will be dragons, but they got through. That's good.
They have to come back that way again on the way back, of course.
Well, yeah, I guess a little bit.
And Matt Atkinson, unfortunately, has now seems to have been not with the peloton anymore, and he's a bit behind.
But he's high. I wonder why he stopped. He's 1,000 meters higher than the other guys, and he stopped to turn. It seems like a strange decision. He may have his reasons. It may be a really good climb. I guess you don't give up a good climb, but you think it'd be more value in staying in touch with the other pilots than stopping when you're higher. But...
Yes. Yeah, depending upon if you're higher than them, then why stop? Because they're going to find the thermal for you.
Oh, well, he must have a cunning plan. Maybe when he lands we can ask him what his cunning plan was. But again, you're seeing that southwesterly drift, which is interesting. So obviously he's moving through.
Well, he's not at cloud base is the point. He's at 20. Mind you, he might be heading off now.
He's at 3,500 meters, so it's higher anybody's been. I think it's the highest we've seen.
Oh yeah, sorry, looking at the wrong thing again.
Yeah.
So Matt Atkinson's at 3,500 meters.
And the other's at 2.5. So he's 3,000 feet higher than everybody else. You think you'd want to?
So you'd want to keep up with them. If I was him, you'd definitely want to be. Wouldn't want to be losing sight of them in the sky. It's one thing to lose sight of them. You might see him on his flarm or other instruments, but if you can't actually see them ahead of them, that's.
So they're flying that same angle, aren't they? I'm thinking there must be multiple lines of cues lined up with this trough. It must be like almost like a wave pattern where there's a number of different lines of the cumulus clouds because they're further across than they were before, and yet it turns out that it's on track now. So
okay, well, bear with me while I just do a refresh and get the latest satellite image again.
I mean, you can tell the cues are good when you can see them from a satellite, don't you? Quite often don't see cumulus, but yeah.
Well, you can see them, and there you are.
Yeah, there you go. It's quite a big area, isn't it? It's built right up. Yeah. So when it first appeared overhead, it was a single line of clouds, a bit like a convergence line, but obviously now it's just a huge area of good air, so it looks like they're going to be fine.
And they're heading up to there, is that right?
Slightly east of there, actually, because there's Clare. They're east of Clare.
Near...
No, east of Clare, up here. Above the R of Clare.
East of Clare.
East of Clare,
Well, so they're heading east of Clare. Yeah, so they really are heading straight underneath the trough. It's kind of perfect.
Can you see there are parallel lines?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
Which is what we suspected. And then, of course, as that moves east and they come south, they'll go through it again. So that looks pretty good.
Well, it looks like they've really got to, in terms of the weather at the moment, it looks like perfect. In fact.
Let's hope they're happy. They haven't complained yet. Yes, they're at Burra. They're at Beam Burra now. To the east, Burra is 100 k's north of Gawler. So sometimes people do a 200 out and return and they go to Burra. But the problem with Burra, it's quite high. It's top of a hill. I think I mentioned yesterday they do some mining there. It's famous for the copper and tin, those sorts of things. There's lots of Cornish people moved to Burra in the early days to mine the copper and the tin, which would have been a quite difficult existence, I think. Living in Burra in the summer is quite a...
Yeah, especially coming from Cornwall.
Yes, it would have changed the weather, yeah. But I guess they had the skills, they knew how to mine, they wanted the money, and so they got an adventure and they came. And they're still mining now.
Okay, so the four main group are very much together, with Jeff Brown slightly behind, but at this stage, I don't think that matters. And
well, he's got some height on them.
Yeah.
So he's probably just watching them.
He's watching them, so
an angel view, yeah. And it's like we said on other days, it's about picking the energy line, about getting the best energy, working out where the best route is, because they don't want to turn if they can avoid it. They want to keep flying in a straight line if at all possible.
That's right. Well, that was once again Dave Peach's definite strategy was get high, stay high, fly fast.
Sounds like a plan.
Get high, fly fast, don't turn.
So they're not going as high as I expected. Oh, sorry, as was potentially forecast. That's what I should say.
Well, it's not the peak of the day yet, but.
It may be that it wings off towards cloud base. It may be that it's not worth climbing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're up at 10, 11,000 feet, and you should have a look, pay more attention the next time they do take a turn, or just what climb rates they're getting.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that Matt got 3,500 meters, so it's obviously a possibility. But maybe the other guys have decided they just want to stay a bit lower, still stay in touch with the clouds, so they can still get the pull-ups and so on. But
exactly, stay in the strongest part of the lift, even though you're up there. Again, I mentioned the top third of the convection layer. You don't really want to get below the top. Not that they're going to, but if it's working up to 11,000 feet and plus at the moment, then you wouldn't be wanting to get down to less than 7,000 feet. That's for sure.
I think Jeff's doing quite well. He was 500 metres above him, now he's 600 metres above him. So Jeff's doing a good job of picking the air. But of course, he's got the advantage that he's got 3 people in front of him, so he can see which of those is going best and pick his route accordingly. So
you never know, he might have some other gliders ahead of him too.
Well, that's true. I mean, yes, we don't know what other gliders they can see and what other clues they've got, birds and so on in the sky that they're maybe getting information from.
But he'd certainly be concentrating on the main group of people he's flying with. But
looks like they're going off for a bit of a spiral, as the French say.
Yeah, that's right. They do.
Or a beard. I think the Germans call it a beard. Actually, they don't call it a beard. When Google Translate translates it, Google Translate calls it a beard.
Right.
So quite often at competitions, we're reading the German blog, and it talks about a 7-knot beard.
Yes. Yeah.
It must be the same word, I suppose.
Yeah, beard. Yeah. I believe so.
So they're climbing in a beard.
Yeah.
Must be a good one. They wouldn't have stopped otherwise. What's it saying? It's giving instantaneous.
Okay, so the climb rates of the game, 1.5 meters.
Oh, see, that says 8.
That one says 9 meters a second for
but it's not good enough though. Peter's setting off. He's gone.
Yeah, that Matt Atkinson, who was in a different, he was getting 9 meters a second. That which would give you an indication of why he thought it was a good idea to stop.
Pete's got to look for something better.
The other ones are getting 6.5 meters a second.
Yeah, not good enough. Not good enough.
Not good enough. 12-knot climb. Well, for parts there, and then we have Matt Atkinson again. He's getting between 6 and 8 meters a second, so up to 16-knot climb. So, so where is he? He's enjoying himself.
Yeah, he should be.
Even with a 16-knot climb, he might want to consider moving on.
Well, it is a race. Maybe he just wants to get high and take some photos.
So yeah, it's obviously a fantastic soaring day. Whatever else happens as we follow them around, we can tell that they're going through very big climbs now, and they're not going to have to take very many of them. So Zulu is leading up the rear. Left that one last.
And the what's the right word? People say that the first one to leave always gets ahead, but I'm not sure it's always true. But that's what's said, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first one to leave gets an advantage.
Well, they're still only going up to 3,000 odd meters, but that last they did seem to get a very good climb in those few circles they took right there. So, so apart from anything else, that means that they're not going to want to take anything other than a really good climb. They're looking for the 10-knot climb, and they may well be looking to just fly under the clouds and be streeting and just going in the buoyant air. So what have we got? We've got Maki Chikawa going down anywhere between 1-2 meters a second, 5 meters a second. So it's changing. They're going up and down. There you are, 8 meters a second. So they're flying through. They're flying under a street. Because Mac is now he's going straight and he's going up anywhere between 0 and 8 knots up. So he's going through areas of lift.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we did a maggot race yesterday and ended up feeling a bit seasick because we looked at the 3D view and they were doing so many pull-ups, weren't they? It was just crazy. It was a fairground ride. We were all feeling a bit sick.
Yes, as we watch on CU, watching the actual trace of their flights after the race, and all flights put together, and and I think it would be a very similar situation right now, in that they're flying along and they're coming into buoyant air and it going up even if they're just powering through it. I'm sure they're not changing speed really.
Well, they are deviating, aren't they? So they must be.
They're deviating to go through what is underneath the best area of the cloud. It's looking better over there, looking dark over here.
Certainly.
Yep. But then probably mainly concentrating on straight ahead. Now, one thing that Bruce Taylor said emphatically last year at a training course that I was at Narromine. Of course, you always think, look up at the clouds. But Bruce Taylor was really emphasizing look up at the clouds. Really look at the clouds to find the best bit of where it's climbing. But they're probably not bothering quite so much about that. They're going to be flying fast. What's their speed? We've got ground speeds of 200 plus kilometers an hour. Matt Atkinson, 223. He got a good climb, so he's probably trying to catch up with them again now. And Dave Peach, 190 kilometers. So they're flying reasonably fast in very buoyant and very, very good air, I think. Which means they're going to this is going to be a fast. So the first turn point is 150 kilometers on this 300 kilometer track.
Yeah, it's a halfway point.
So when we get there, we'll get a definite.
We can calculate. Well, we were completely wrong yesterday, weren't we? The calculation thing. Don't know what we did wrong. They were much faster than we thought. If we did faulty maths, or if they speed it up.
So just how now, it's a few days since we've had a look at the pilots. So I'm just going to show you the pilots again now. Here we have Jeff Brown. Doesn't look quite the same as that nowadays, but this is when he was in the Australian Air Force.
Apparently that was a photo taken in Darwin. I only know that because when he sent the photo through, the label was Darwin. So I know it was a photo taken in Darwin. He's based up in the Northern Territory.
Right.
Tyndall, I think it's Tyndall Air Base, isn't it, the Northern Territory?
And then there's Dave Peach, who was also in the Australian Air Force.
And Dave, of course, like Jeff, was based in Canberra for a long time, but having retired, he's returned back home to South Australia. He grew up in the Riverland with a farming background, learned to fly at Waikerie, and then obviously moved around the place quite a lot, even going to America, I believe, with the Air Force, and then has now moved back to Adelaide to reconnect with his family and spend more time with his grandchildren.
Yes, well, you see, when you're in the Air Force and you do really well and you get older, then they ship you off to work behind a desk in Canberra. That's the way it works here.
Yeah.
In other countries, it's Washington or somewhere else, but here it's Canberra. And here's Matthew Atkinson, flying from Lake Keepit, and flown quite a number of Australian competitions, in flying Aventus 2. And then we have Makic Kawa, who is, I'm not sure in terms of number of hours. How many hours has Pete got?
Can't remember.
But certainly in terms of international competitions, Mac has come second in 2 competitions. The 15-meter class in Benalla, I can't remember, but it was a European World Championship. He came second as well. So very experienced in international competitions and national competitions, as well as doing lots of long flights here in Australia, and a very competitive pilot. And we have Pete Temple, who's also a very competitive pilot. And what was his best position?
Third in Riet, in the mountains.
Third in what class again was that?
That was club class, flying Cirrus. Yeah.
Right, a Cirrus. Right. Right. So the best. So Pete's had flown, and he also flew in the Sailplane Grand Prix final. It wasn't Vinon, wasn't it?
No, he flew the one in Spain, La Cerdaña in Spain.
Oh, that's right, of course. He flew in La Cerdaña.
I think he was 7th there, and he was 8th at Benalla.
Yeah,
the World Championships there, so
right. So
fairly consistent. We do struggle, of course, in Australia not having the competition practice that other countries have. With the tyranny of distance, it's much harder to get current and have the high-level competition. Which
in different soaring conditions, it's true. Because in Europe, you could fly in flatland, and then you could also fly and get a lot of mountain flying. And you could fly in Sweden or Finland. But they've got a lot of mountain ranges that they soar in various different countries. And
Yes.
Slovenia and Spain and the Pyrenees, the Alps. And you could even fly at Husbands Bosworth in England.
Yes.
Now, this is interesting because now we have...
But Pete's frozen.
That's what's right?
Some of them are frozen, so we're a bit delayed. That's part of what's happened.
Okay.
So these ones are similar. So we've got Zulu Zulu and Golf 1 and Kilo Golf at similar times.
Yep.
But it looks like there's a bit of a delay on Pete, and
Okay, but
Victor 8's pretty accurate. So
yeah, so Matt Atkinson, who wanted to fly with everybody, keeps being left behind and on his own, is now slightly ahead of them, on track, and doing quite well now. So he's caught up quite a bit. He turned that extra altitude. He got a really good climb, and decided not to stay with him because I guess he just couldn't turn the climb down. And he's managed to turn that into extra distance, and has leapt ahead of them a little bit now.
which is good. Good to see him on the podium.
So with the main group, they've taken a big climb here.
Yeah.
4.6 meters. They've got Jeff Brown getting 6 meters a second. That's 12 knots. I think there's going to be some big smiles when they land, no matter what happens on the podium.
So. Yeah, I think so. Like you say, coming here, the forecast before they arrived was quite grim.
Yeah.
There were various rumours that various people weren't going to come, and I was thinking, oh no, we need everyone to come, because of course we had, I think probably people maybe don't realise, but we had 17, if not 18 different entries for this competition at the early stages. There were preliminary entries, but we had a huge number of preliminary entries. And then they just suffered a terrible attrition. And various people dropped out, and various people couldn't come, and some people got sick, and some people were stranded overseas. And they all had a good excuse, but anyway, we ended up with 5, which apparently is enough. So I've had an invoice from the FAI, so I assume that means it's legal.
No, it's. I mean, it's been a great competition. It might not have had as many entrants, and that's a shame. But it's still been enormous fun, and it's been enormously friendly, and been very great to be here with everybody. And certainly the people who came are very glad they came. Mackie Cower is he said, I'm very happy I came.
He was one of the ones that I thought might have changed his mind at the last minute. I was
worried about the weather, worried about the possibility of winning.
Yes.
Can I win this competition flying a V3?
Yeah.
But also, he's really been enjoying the flying and thinking the flying's been great and really interesting the first few days with different conditions. And then now, today and yesterday, with these big days, this is great fun flying. Nobody's going to not be happy when you get 12-knot climbs.
You'd hope not. Yeah. So they're all back together on real time, I think. Now we're certainly fairly close to it.
Matt Atkinson's doing his own thing again and climbing very well.
Yeah, he's high again, 3,600 meters.
Yeah, so he's 3,600 meters, and he's now even heading off. He's probably heading off to that's where the middle of the trough is, probably where he is.
Maybe, yeah, because he's highest. Yeah.
And he's not. He needs to get up to the turn point, but he's still deviating even a little bit further west. So.
I mean, I guess when they come back, we can look at the actual distance they flew compared to the task distance, the percentage deviation.
Yeah, there's not a lot in it really, but he's going under what he thinks is the best bit of the cloud. And he's got 3,600 meters, and what have the others got?
Bit under 3.
Yeah, 3. So Matt could turn this extra altitude and get to the first turn point first.
Yeah, we never set a bonus point. There was an opportunity in the rules to set a bonus point for first turn point, but it doesn't seem to be something that was really done generally. I looked quite closely at the previous competitions, knowing this was coming up, and I didn't see that rule was used particularly often. I don't know what the philosophy is for using it or not using it.
Yes, well, interesting question to ask. There's the first turn point of Jamestown. And now, of course, we didn't put in our calculations on who could win and everything. What if Matt Atkinson was to win today? Well, if Matt Atkinson was to win today, then he would get the 7
bonus points. Yeah, that's true.
And
shake it up a bit.
Therefore, it wouldn't matter to Pete Temple, but it would matter still again to Mac and to. So it remains to be, and everybody else. So it remains to be seen if he can pull one out of the hat. And so him and Dave Peach are flying very close together now. So Dave obviously saw that was the better part of the clouds as well. Perhaps the others are thinking, yeah, it's probably a bit better over there, but they're making a beeline for the turn point, I'd say.
I reckon Jeff Brown's going to be getting a bit frustrated and a bit cross because he hasn't been in front of Golf 1 all day, has he? So
No, but
he's got to wait for Mac to make a mistake, I think.
yes. Well, he could be waiting a long time for that, unfortunately, from his point of view.
A Bradbury moment.
Yeah.
We talk about that in Australia. There was a speed skater, Ray Bradbury,
I think
in the
Ray.
Olympics, and speed skating, and he was last, but then everyone in front of him collided and fell over, and he got the gold medal.
Yes.
So we call that a Bradbury moment, and sometimes hope for that in gliding when those in front will make a mistake and you can sail on by.
Yes, but Mac Ichikawa doesn't make many mistakes. Neither does Pete Temple.
No, but they're tired. They had a long week. Well, if it was an altitude competition, Matthew would surely win. He's been higher than everybody else all day. He's got quite a different strategy, and maybe staying closer to the clouds and staying in touch with the clouds is going to give him that little bit more push.
Staying in touch with the best,
Yeah.
what he thinks is the best bit of the clouds, and it may well be true. As I say, the other ones may think, well, we don't need it. You know.
Wouldn't that be good if Peter and Jeff and Mac were so busy fighting each other that Matthew could sail on by? That would be amazing.
It would. And Dave Peach, he's fallen behind a little bit. And he's probably got where's his climb right there?
Yeah, he's high. He's getting good heights.
4.5, 5 meters, 6 meters a second. So there you are, he's in a 12-knot climb. Nobody wants to leave a 12-knot climb.
So we reckon once they get to Jamestown, they're about halfway round. We know that they started at
25.
So it's an hour and 6. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
So that includes the start. So it's less than 150, or roughly 150 kph.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, which is similar to yesterday.
Given that they were on the start, so
yeah,
and we'd expect the faster leg to be the next leg.
Yeah.
Because they'll be at some point they'll be racing. So there you are. Matt Atkinson got to the turn point and turning out sooner as well.
Yep. First to leave. Yep.
Well, that was very well done for Matt. He was a bit behind. He kept higher than everybody else. Why are they going? I guess they're going for the better cloud now. Why would you go further out?
We need cockpit cam, don't we?
We do. Yes. Or can you call him and ask him?
What's happening? The other thing, of course, with the speeds from yesterday and today is they're not starting particularly high because we have the start height. So to get those speeds with, gliders that are 100 kilos under max weight, starting at 6,000 feet, it's just unbelievable.
7,000 today.
7,000 today. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. Go, Matt.
So the main group have headed off a bit further east, surely because they see clouds that they're heading towards. Whereas Matthew, he's a bit higher than them, so he's saying, "I don't need those clouds over there. I'll go for these clouds up down here."
Well, he's got a different view of the world. I guess he can see things in a different perspective.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, as everybody knows, a few hundred feet, certainly a few hundred meters, makes a completely different view when you're looking at under the clouds or looking at the sky ahead.
Zulu's getting close to 4,000 meters, so I think he's having fun. You don't very often get that high under cumulus, do you?
So who's under 4,000, up to 4,000?
Almost, Dave Peach.
Oh, yeah. So Dave Peach, as we said, stopped for that 12-knot climb back there. He stopped for the 12-knot climb because he got up to 4,000 meters, but now he needs to convert that into distance.
Yeah.
And
nearly 3,900, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think the highest I've been is 15,500 feet out of Waikerie.
Right.
Under a convergence once. It was quite nice.
Yes, very nice and cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Wakerie's a hot, dry place.
It's interesting. It's hot now, and our summer has really and truly begun. But at the beginning of this week, it was still very cool here in Gawler. And as it was throughout the eastern states. I was flying just before I came here, and I couldn't believe how cold I was. Normally, you just fly in a shirt and don't have to pay any attention. But having frozen feet was a really unusual feeling.
Well, I was packing up the room, getting ready to leave tomorrow, and I found I'd got a jumper that I brought along on the first day because I was wearing it because it was cold.
Yeah, I've got a fleece as well with me.
Yeah.
And
today at 40 degrees, not necessary.
Yeah, for much of the year here, that's the last thing you want is anything remotely heavy.
It looks like they're driving down a road, doesn't it? You think you've got a plan to follow the road?
Looks like Matt's forgotten where he's meant to be going, but it's the other way around. Yes, they're the other
huge deviation.
Yeah, Pete and Mac are definitely following the road.
I mean, I guess they're match racing a little bit, perhaps. I'm not sure, but it'd be great if Matt got ahead, wouldn't it? I'd love for Matt to get on the podium and He can get a gold medal. That'd be
So they
lovely.
were. We lost tracking for Jeff for briefly.
He's got his
but
cue button pushed. He's catching up.
He's
Yep.
up with them again.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he wants to stay with them, but being just behind them is definitely a good idea.
Yeah, he's a bit higher. He's a bit higher.
Just a
So,
little bit behind him, and he's
a little
got
bit
to.
higher. He's got good view,
Yeah.
helicopter view. You can see what's happening.
And
So when they get to Hallett, they might have final glide. The next turn. It's not that far, is it? If they're at 10,000 feet, they've almost got glide.
okay, so we'll have a look at the.
Go, Matt.
So okay, V8's heading a bit more back on the track now, but he's ahead of them.
Yeah,
So
no
that's good.
question.
So right, I want Matt Atkinson to win today. Because
Yes.
that would change.
It'll be lovely, yeah. Because when he finished yesterday, he sounded so tired and so despondent. It was such a shame.
Although he'd been loving the flying too. It's just,
No, he's not unhappy, but he's just, I think, yeah, coming last is not much fun, is it? So we're rooting for you, Matt. Hang in there.
Well, he's got the Nationals next week at Wakery.
He has, yeah.
What have we got
And that,
here
of course,
now?
is handicapped. I mean, the difference here, of course, he's got the oldest glider, different wing profiles and things like that. So
Yep.
it's probably not helping that he's got an older glider,
What have we got here?
one glider. In the background there, Sean's just playing around with Silent Wings. Silent Wings had gone very silent and was in stealth mode,
Yep.
and we had nothing showing up, but it looks like it started to wake up. I don't know how far behind it is, but we've got 2 gliders showing up now. Before we had nothing, so
Well,
see
I
if
think,
that can,
I think they're there
if
now.
that wakes up.
I
We'll,
think that might be working.
well, there's
now.
2 who've got altitudes, but not the others. There's only 1, and now there's 2.
Yes,
so.
yes, indeed. But we might have a see if we can have a look at Silent Wings and see what it's giving us.
So Zulu's coming south on a completely different track. There really must be parallel cloud straits for them all to be going in such different directions.
Yeah. There's multiple clouds, and they're
Yeah.
picking out which one they think is the better one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zulu's yeah, okay.
Which is
yeah.
what we were expecting to happen more yesterday. We were expecting more that they
Yeah.
would split up, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But so today they're splitting up a little bit because of that.
Although tactically, it's interesting that the top 3 are all together.
Yes, well, Jeff Brown cannot lose track of Mac,
No.
and Mac has to beat Pete.
Well, they're
And-
together in the same thermal at the same height.
Yeah.
So I suppose it wouldn't bother them if Victor 8 did win, because it doesn't affect their... Yeah, they can have their own little race, can't they, within the race?
Yeah, I haven't done the calculation, but
I think so.
if he got 7 points, it
Yeah.
wouldn't make any difference to Peter, but would it make a difference to the placings for Mac and...
Well, no, it's whoever's past the post, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mac has to beat Jeff by 2 places. So if it was Matthew Atkinson, then Jeff Brown, then Pete Temple, then Mac. Oh, who knows? We need a spreadsheet with all the numbers on.
That's right. So we'll look at that later on. So here we
There's
are.
only 2 of them.
So we're kind of getting... earlier on, Silent Wings, unfortunately, was giving us... Oops. Wasn't giving us anything.
Yeah, when it works very well, but it seems to have gone to sleep. It says pause.
Actually, with a
It's
slightly
just-
better view now. 234. It shouldn't be paused.
Okay.
234, there we are.
Okay.
So let's see if we can make it come up some pretty pictures for us.
It certainly shows the terrain very well, doesn't it?
Yes.
They actually redid the terrain for the competition because of the virtual competition. They wanted to have really good terrain to use for the virtual competition.
Yes, that's right. And of course, that's one of the good things about having competitions like this, actually, is people advance the technology every time what we're doing. So there's Golf 1 doing something.
Flying
strange.
backwards, yeah. Tail first, bit of a tail slide. That's all right. We went to anyway.
Yes, well, anyway.
Yeah. Dear.
Still, as I said, I was flying this morning with Steve Pegler, the president of the GFA, and looking at all these different terrain. It's certainly very different flying over vineyards and a lot of very flat terrain, but different soils everywhere, and hills, and then the Murray River. It's a very interesting area. And okay, so that's Silent Wings. Who knows? Maybe later on it'll be good for the finish. But in
That's
the
like a
minute-
starburst, like a fireworks gone off at Jamestown, doesn't it? Exploded.
But in the meantime, we'll take you back to live gliding, because that's giving us proper data, I think. So we still have Matt Atkinson doing very well now in the front, and he stopped for another climb.
They're all above 3,000 meters now, so they must have really connected with the primary, what I'm calling the primary clouds, because they're so high. So it looks like Dave Peach is coming in to join him.
So Dave Peach is now up. He was only climbing at 4 meters. That's 8 knots. So that's no good. 8 knots, it's useless. And what have we got over here?
Pete's headed off.
And Pete, in characteristic style, is headed out front from the thermal.
So it's topping out at 3,250 meters. I need to know what that is in feet, I'm afraid. I'm not a meter person. Let's see the calculation.
Sorry, 3,500.
Yeah, 3,000.
About 13,000.
Yeah, I guess
12,000 feet.
Meters in feet.
Yeah, 12,000.
12,000. Yeah. I mean, they can't get much above 12.5 anyway.
That is their
ceiling.
The ceiling here is 12.5.
Yeah.
On the area QNH.
Flight level, yeah. We transitioned to flight level.
Sorry, on the flight level. Yeah. So anyway,
because
they need to get that right, because if they're depending on what they've got set.
The QNH is close. I think it was 1,010, so it's not a lot different. Because in Europe, the places where they go to flight levels at 5,000 or 6,000 feet, it's quite a different. Yeah, it's not
it's not 10,000 feet all the way.
It's not universal. Until you don't know, then it seemed like it should be
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
A universal setting. But no, I think the UK was something like flight level 60 or something like that. Yeah. And I think Italy was 50. But so those are variations. Not a universal truth. Look at this. We should take a screenshot. Come on, Matthew, you can do this.
Well, I can take a screenshot.
Oh, let's do it. There we go. Matthew will get it framed for you. But seriously, we would like Matthew to have a good day today. He's working hard every day.
He's certainly having a better day at the moment. I mean, like when I say at the moment, this is going to be a fast race. We're coming down to Hallett, which is the next turn point. We'll have a quick look at the task. Mind you, it doesn't give us that on this one. So in Glide and Seek, we can see that this next we got Hallett, and then after that you've got 120
plus Sheoak log, which is 13.
Yeah,
so
1 kilometres on the next leg.
So they'll only be just a little bit under Glide.
Yeah, so this one is 35 kilometres with Victor 8 coming up to the turn point pretty quickly now, and then they got 121 kilometres down to the control point of Sheoak.
Good. So I mean, obviously they haven't got Glide, but maybe they can just pick it up along the way.
Well, they're not far off. I mean, as Pete Temple said yesterday, he said, we had final Glide from 150 kilometres out. He said, not on the numbers, but the reality was we had final Glide.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way that they weren't going to be able to make it.
The risk, of course, on a high day is you get too low and then you can't connect with the thermals. It's much easier to stay high.
Indeed.
But slower.
You don't want to go down too low and then
can't find
the thermal, or you're struggling for hours to find the thermal. It's
risk management.
Yes.
Yeah, in the situation where they need probably just a couple of turns, and then they'll have final Glide.
Yeah.
But I know a few of them are telling me that they're still not really quite sure what their instruments are calculating, because they have to finish at 600 feet above the airfield.
Yeah.
And they've got that set in various instruments in different sets, and they still can't be sure if the instruments are navigating to the airfield or 600 feet. You think by the end of the week they would have figured it out, but they say that they can't quite get the instruments to tell them what it's doing.
To get it perfect. Yeah. Well, they've probably got too many instruments.
But you do wonder sometimes.
Well, I know that Mac is running an LX, I presume 9000, and he's also got an UDI, one of the new UDIs. And I think that Pete has the same thing, actually, doesn't he?
He hasn't got any LX, no.
No, he doesn't have an LX. So
UDI's got an UDI and a Nano.
Oh, so he's running
old school.
Okay, we'll show you his part of his instrument panel again. So there's the UDI there sticking up.
Yeah. So I do remember when we were flying Campi Noveldi, we had a finish ring, of course, and there were some storms forecast. So we changed the finish ring to be, I think it was 10 kilometres.
Uh-huh.
And that confused everybody because they were all navigating to the outside of the ring. When it was 3 kilometres, it didn't really matter.
Right.
But once it changed to become a bigger circle, they were all panicking because they couldn't be sure where they were actually navigating to. We were getting the instructions, and saying, scroll to page 3 and turn to the right and push the button. And
yeah, exactly. We're trying to do that type of thing in flight.
It wasn't good.
Is not a good idea to try. It's not fun to do that in flight.
And normally it doesn't matter. Normally it's not an issue because it's 1K, 2K, 3Ks, whatever. It doesn't make that much difference. You can eyeball it at the end anyway. But when it's 15Ks or 10Ks, as it was with these storms, then
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see what they do. It looks like V8 stopped for top up.
Again.
Yes. And
No,
Zulu's coming in. So the tables have definitely turned, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's
So
good.
those two have done very well on so
yeah,
far. Yep.
Yeah. Probably because the other three are watching each other so closely that they've let them slip by.
Yeah, so there we have Mac Ichikawa briefly showed up 7 knots. We've got Pete Temple on 7 knots as well. So 14 plus knot climbs,
Yeah.
16 knot climbs for a bit. I'm not sure what the average is, but it's hitting 7 knots up.
Yep.
And Matt Atkinson is, what's he climbing at the moment? Only 3.6 meters, so he should leave.
Yeah.
And he's
It's gonna be
and he's at
interesting,
3,500 meters as well.
Yeah. It's good.
So there is the potential for breaching flight levels here.
Oh, excellent. Good. So Adam Woolley has just entered the room. We were hoping that Adam would be able to join us today so that you don't have to sit and listen to me. So I will vacate my seat immediately and allow Adam to take over. I'm sure he's got much more interesting things to say than I do.
Well, he can
hey,
take-
Adam.
he
Welcome
can-
to Gawler.
Thank you very much.
Sorry you have to be on the ground today.
Thank you very much. It's
Thanks for the
lovely to
seat.
be here.
We're seeing that it's an interesting race.
Yeah, right.
All right.
G'day,
See you a bit.
G'day,
Step
Adam.
up.
Come in.
Yeah.
This keep yourself.
All right.
okay?
Yeah, this is my
That's right.
it's my usual seat in the airline world
Right. So so far.
so far. Yeah, for another 12 months.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, welcome, Adam Woolley, who's going to be flying in the Waikerie Nationals starting on Wednesday, and his glider is flying here at the moment, being flown by Mac Ichikawa, Golf India or Whiskey Papa.
Yes.
Your beautiful V3, and there he is right now.
Well, it's been in communication with Mac all week, of course, and I get a real kick out of sharing my gliders. It's if I can't fly, I'd much rather see someone else, and it's always nice to help friends and also get feedback on the glider, what things I can improve and what things are great already, and it's I get a bit of a kick out of it.
So, is this your third season with it, or second? Or?
This will be my second summer with it.
Only second summer. Yeah,
So
right, yeah.
I paid for it just as the pandemic hit, and managed to survive through it all and enjoy a summer, full summer with it from August last year, and now I've got my job back,
Right.
and life's reasonably normal, so I get to enjoy it now for another 3 months.
Yeah, very good. And you've been doing some great flights in it. Some long flights.
Yeah, last year I was managed to get a 1,000 kilometre flight in out of Kingaroy, the second one ever to be completed within the bounds of Queensland, and 1,100k out of Tamora. So yeah, some big flights. It's a beautiful glider, of course. So yeah, whereabouts are they at?
Okay, well then I'll just give you a bit of an overview. There's the task. Okay, so they've been up to Jamestown, which is 150 kilometres, and now they got about, I think it's 38 kilometres from Jamestown to Hallett, and then they have 121 kilometres to go south to get to the control point of Sheoak Log, and then 13 kilometres across the line.
Fantastic.
So you've been in touch with Max. So just have a quick look at the scores again, so you can just familiarise yourself with where they're up. So Pete Temple is on 24 points and is unassailable. However,
Very nice. It's the G29 is still a magnificent glider, and Pete Temple's certainly a master in his area. So it's nice to see the local boy doing so well.
And Jeff Brown and Mac are in tussle for second and third. So
That's right. I guess Mac will be worrying more about your Uniform Killer Golf, which used to be known as King George years ago.
right.
So looking at King George now, Jeff Brown, he's at about 2.4 AGL, and Mac is ahead at 3. So it's looking good for a second place at the moment.
Yes, well, in the few moments when we looked away, they were all together back a little bit further back at this thermal here. They were all together.
Okay,
And so
maybe I
now,
should,
Mac's making a break for it, and he's pulled ahead of Pete Temple, which has been unusual. This entire contest, Pete's basically been ahead the whole way,
I've been
apart from one day.
I've been watching from afar while I've been at work, of course, and thanks for the commentary along the way, because it's been making me very jealous. And the 48 kilogram wing loading seems to level the playing field pretty well.
It does. So as a competition pilot yourself, have you flown Grand Prix?
Just local ones at my local club. I'd like to. Once upon a time, I was thinking about maybe seeing if I could fly the whole world circuit, but I'd need some sponsorship for that. But I've got the job that'll allow it if anyone's out there.
Right. Yes, well, this is Series 11 of the Sailplane Grand Prix Championships, and Series 12 has been announced. So there is going to be another series in 2024.
Fantastic.
Now, looking at the trace, of course, we had some fallout or some traces, not transmitting and popping in and back out, because we now have King George ahead of King Mac.
Let's get a little update there. 3-1 and 3. Okay, so they're neck and neck.
Have to keep watching whether they're getting some amazing climbs. If you see that, it's up to 7. That was 8 knots a second.
Yeah. So
that's right, 8 meters a second.
Yeah, I think we can change those units, but I'm not sure what units your followers want to see. But
for the Europeans, it'll be meters, but for the Australians, we'll just double it.
That's right. It's easy enough. So the JS1 is still a super strong glider in this format, especially with the wing loading limit, because they've got a bigger wing, therefore they can carry more mass, and more mass. My personal opinion, more mass is more important when it comes to a wing loading limit. So some people might feel it's favors the V3, the Grand Prix format over the JS3, for example, because of the wing area. But but here in Australia, from what I've been watching, it seems to be pretty neck and neck, seconds in it for a few days at a time, isn't there?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you've got the SG29. Pete Temple's just leapt forward again because of the thing, so he's not really that far behind. But Mac does seem to be trying to push out ahead now. He's heading straight for the thermal, where we have Matt Atkinson and Dave Peach, who have pushed out ahead, but and Mac's obviously heading straight for their thermal. Oh, and there you are. Pete Temple's pushed out ahead.
He said, "No, not good enough for me." Being at 9,000 feet or so, it's pretty comfortable. You can choose to pass up quite a lot of climbs in these conditions.
So we've got roughly 120k to go. They're past the turn point, so it's less than 120k to go plus sheer log. So when do you think they'd be on final glide on a day like today?
Well, I'd be probably. I'm looking at the sky when I drove in here. It's just a magnificent sky. It's a sky full of heat, as Sebastian Cow's book says. It's 12,000 foot or so with nice flat bases, about 2,000 or 3,000 foot thick queue. So on this sort of day, I think I'd probably be trying to leave final glide 3,000 foot below, 120 kilometres. So you'd probably look to be at final glide out from near there, and they're about 3,000 foot below glide now. So we look at Peter Temple, 3,090, and Mac is just a little bit lower. I believe the V3 should have an advantage, having mass, being a modern airfoil. So probably should see Mac being able to pull back up there and onto glide. So let's see, what are they saying? It's saying 31.5 to 1 LD required to get home. So they should be sitting on 110 knots all the way home now. Right. So we should be seeing their ground speeds at 210 plus, I reckon. So this is it. They're on final glide, I would dare say, which is probably why Pete just punched through it.
Yep.
Let's watch. Mac is 32 to 1. Pete's on 30 to 1. So so basically just relying on the glider to pull Mac forward now. Of course, Mac is a 2 times runner-up world champion, which is outstanding. So Pete's highly not decorated, but some sensational results overseas. These guys will be pushing their glides to the limits now.
Yes, and Jeff Brown's LD is 30 as well.
Okay.
I'd say a bit higher than them, a bit further behind at the moment.
Dave Peach 27-1, Jeff Brown 30-1. It'd be interesting just to see Mac. There he goes, 240 kph at 32-1. It'd be interesting just to monitor those numbers, to see whether they're slowly
getting better.
Here we go. But Mac is definitely pulling in there.
Yes, well, Mac, for several races anyway, since the weather's got better, has been trying to get ahead of Pete, but Pete's managed to keep him out every day.
It doesn't look like it today.
Well, yeah, well, Mac's very close at the moment.
Yeah, well,
Pete has not pulled ahead.
I am biased. But I've been watching the same thing. It's a bit of you can't really say old age and cunning, because they're both experienced pilots that know how to play this game well. So
they're storming ahead at what speeds are we getting? 238 on Pete Temple.
Yeah, he's average speed. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and ground speeds. So they're pulling back up into the good air there now. Mac's pulling ahead, probably just with a bit of a gentle pull up. He's back to 30-1 now, and Pete Temple is 28. So Pete's got the energy, energy there to be able to push over at the end. It'll be just a case of who can pick that cruise speed. That's going to be the average best cruise speed all the way in, not burn it off too much at the end.
So on the V3, what would be the best cruise speed now? 120 knots, you said?
120 knots is the... Oh, there we go. Mac's going to throw a turn.
What's he doing?
So what would be the best? Well, I think 120 knots is where it's the very limit of the glider.
Right.
And probably the JS3 33 is 125. The G29 is an older generation glider, of course. So it's probably more 115. But then again, you watch Bruce Taylor fly these G29. It's amazing what he can do. Yeah, okay, so Mac has just thought, you know what, that was just one 10-knot climb.
Yep.
And he's made it into 28, 29 to 1 to get home now.
Yeah.
He just thought the extra energy, I can pull it back. We've got Peachy and Victor 8. That's interesting. 26 to 1. Wow.
They're doing very well today.
Lots of energy. It's going to be come down to the line.
Yes, well, it was interesting looking at the scores, you see, because we were looking at the top ones, and we'll just have a quick look at the results again.
Yeah.
Now, if Pete Temple was to not get any score, then that'd be one thing. But what if Dave Peach and Mac Atkinson won today?
Yeah.
What would that do to Jeff Brown and Mac Ichikawa?
That'd be fantastic. I think it's 5 points for the win. Is that right?
6 points and 7 points on the final race.
Okay.
7 points. So Dave Peach would be up with with Mac. But I don't think Mac's going to come last. But nevertheless, it would be interesting if they came second and third. Now King George, he's what's his does he have a chance of catching up? Because it looks like Mac is now has pulled ahead.
So he's got 30 to 1 required. Mac's got 30 to 1 required. So there should be effectively equal there. So it looks like Mac where's the distance to go? There must be something there for distance to go.
We'll just have a quick look at glide and see if it's easier to see on there. No, maybe not.
But it's looking in it's looking in Mac's favour just from that quick snapshot. Of course, Jeff Brown is a experienced Grand Prix pilot. He's been a winner. He's been selected onto the Australian team. He's got multiple experiences that he can bring up. Of course, being a fighter pilot as well, he's good at running the numbers and the risk.
That's right. He certainly is. But he hasn't. He's been the last couple of days. He's been a bit behind. Just a bit behind.
Okay.
And he's a bit behind now, and he needs to get ahead of Mac if he's going to step up one place on the podium and come in second place. Otherwise, he's looking at third place. Now we might have something here sensible from
the tracking
from Silent Wings. I'm not sure, not really. Yep. I'd like to be able to bring you a different view, but. So far, it's not cooperating. Okay, well, here we have
Very nice. That looks like Ingo Renner's panel. That's all he needs.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't need any. He didn't need any instruments at all.
No, what a guy. Hopefully we see Pete Temple's trace being back up here soon too.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Okay, sorry about this, but I'm going to transition to this one and see what it looks like. Doesn't look right.
Yeah, well, regardless, whatever happens with the results today, with the bottom and the top, they'll for sure have a big smile on their face.
They will
when they land, because I think it's probably going to come down to the line. There's Peachy is in the area of glider 1.
It's hard to tell. He's frozen at the moment. He's stopped looking. So that's the view from Mac's glider.
It's pretty amazing software. All the tracking stuff we got these days. We're very lucky.
Yes, unfortunately, the silent wings just keeps dropping in and out. So I better bring you back in so we can see this view. But yeah, some of that AOR peaches are now kept up with left forward. So when they're tracking doesn't
Peachy's 25-1, Max 26-1. Pete is unfortunately his trace has dropped out. But I'm sure he'll reappear soon.
Well, we've seen it the last few days. All of a sudden, he leaps forward and turns out he's in the lead again.
Damn it! No, good on you, Pete.
You were talking about who's likely to end up in first position, about managing the flight and everything. Well, I guess hunger does always play a part in it, doesn't being a competition. How much you want it. Pete's won. He'd love to win today, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to... Yeah, he doesn't need to win. He just needs to make it home with any reasonable points, and he's fine. But, he's he's someone who doesn't like to lose either, and that's what makes great pilots is they've got a balance of not wanting to... Yeah, they don't want to lose.
And you've flown some long-distance flights in company with Mac, haven't you?
With Mac, yeah, we've done a bit of team flying out of tomorrow. He's got on these Q days, he's got a real talent for flying the air, feeling the air, and of course the V3 has just got that ability to feel the sky. So you'd almost say that it's their main sort of catchphrase at the factory. So, and it's absolutely true. And of course Mac is probably the only pilot I've ever known that's just got this constant rate of learning, this constant advancement. I think it comes from his dedication to the sport and being Japanese. They analyze every flight and they learn from mistakes, and then they most regular pilots come in waves. You learn a lot and then you go back down. You learn a lot and you plateau, and then you learn. Mac just keeps climbing, keeps getting better. So
right. So you don't think he's reached his peak as yet?
No, he's always hungry for more. So I'm sure we'll see him up on a podium again at the World Champs one day.
Yes, well, that's what I was thinking. That today, Pete Temple, even though he doesn't like losing, who has really got the hunger? And I know that Mac has really got the hunger. He wants to be on that podium.
Yeah, that's right. He wants his day winner interview.
And also he wants to be in second place, not third place.
That's right. So.
Now, it is unfortunate in a way that we don't have more competitors, because if we did have more competitors, 2 pilots could be going to Italy for the finals.
Yeah.
But the only pilot who can qualify for the finals from this race is Pete Temple.
Okay.
So in Pavullo in Italy in September next year, which will be a great thing.
I would have been here, but they've basically the way my roster works at work is I can only afford one competition each month. So if it was in December, I'd be here, or if it was in February, I'd be here. But it's just But as it turns out, I've got the 80 metre nationals coming up for January, the 20 metre nationals for February, 50 metre nationals for March, and then I'm off to the FCC in Slovakia in April, and the Hanweider in May. So, five comps, 5 months coming up.
Okay, and tell us exactly what you're flying and who you're flying for at the moment.
I'm flying with All Nippon Airways, or a little shell company called Air Japan, flying the 787s. I've just come back to work after a couple of years off during the pandemic, and just happy to have my life back, and the dream is able to continue.
Yes, well, that must have been very, very tough those years without being able to with the airlines all shut down. Terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't. You could say it wasn't much fun, but at the same time, I got some great experiences. I got to drive some gold mining dump trucks and planted some plants at nurseries. Did some gliding, saw family. Lived off baked beans for a little while, but everything was designed around maximum gliding. So I had a good time as well. But happy to be back at work with my freedoms again.
That's right. And what routes are you flying at the moment?
Flying to Bangkok, to Ho Chi Minh City, Hong Kong, and Singapore mostly at the moment. It's really, really wonderful flying with a nice group of people, and hopefully 12 or 18 months' time might be starting to look at the command. So
Great.
Very, very pleased.
Okay, excellent. So now they're coming up to approaching, having only 60 kilometers, about 60 kilometers to the final point. Any tips or tricks or anything you can say? I mean, the tactics today are pretty straightforward, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's right. With Grand Prix, they really are. But I guess the only thing I don't know exactly would be that LD required. I guess that's LD required to finish rather than to the point. That'll be the only telling style whether they're.
I think it is actually, because they're always giving us the distance traveled. I think it must be the distance traveled.
Yeah, so they got height and speed just there. The cursor's over now, in that sort of top right hand corner of each spot. But regardless, even if it was 28-1, then they should be on glide. I'm guessing they'll be at 110 knots or something like this, and just coast along, pulling up. Matty Atkinson looks like he's taken an interesting route there. I'm not sure.
He might catch up again, but he deviated, I'm sure, to go to a cloud.
Yeah, being at almost 10,000 feet, it's an interesting call.
Yes.
But he is climbing at 10 knots, so.
Yeah, or I think I'm not sure if we're getting correct data from him now, but he was climbing, where he might pop back into proper view in a minute. And the same with Pete Temple. We don't seem to be getting data from him. I'm not sure.
Is there anything from Glide and Seek that we can...
Let's have a look at Glide and Seek if we got anything better.
So Pete's moving.
Okay, well, if that's correct, with Glide and Seek, thank you for suggesting that.
Click on Papa Tango there, it should give us his last... here's 4 or 5 seconds ago. So,
yeah, okay. Yeah. So the data we were getting from Live Track, and as predicted a minute ago, we were saying Pete Temple might leap forward and turn out to be in the front.
We definitely know he would leap forward, that's for sure.
So there we are. So Pete Temple's right up there again.
So he's at 3-1. Let's call it 3. And if you click on Glider 1, he's at 100 metres below. That's okay. And then Peachy, he's at same altitude as well. Oh, Peachy, yeah, he's same altitude as well. See if we can find King George there. He's a little bit lower, but still in the hunt. He's obviously got markers out in front now, which is good. And Matty Atkinson 5 minutes ago was his.
Oh yeah, so we don't have.
So I suspect he's in that group.
Yes. So Pete Temple and Maki Chikawa are still very much together,
neck and neck. Yeah.
And.
So, that's okay. So that's danger area, restricted.
I think 8.5. So
okay, so that's why they've been hanging around down there.
I'm not. I think there might be 10,000 feet there actually.
Okay.
Although it's a step, there's this 206 area where we've got to.
So
to 10,000.
8.5, and so I'm not familiar with the airspace stuff here today. So
I'm pretty sure that there's an area in here for the military, which is actually. 10,000. It varies.
Yes.
For the length of this competition, I think that's 10,000 foot.
Which makes sense why they. Why they're not higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why they're not. Well, they don't need. I'm pretty sure it is 10,000 feet. So, and they're under 3,000 meters. So yes, they need to be under 10,000 feet. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
They've certainly got the cruise speeds are up. 180 to 200 kph I've seen. So I guess the race. Well, there's a couple of races, isn't there? Pete's clearly got the win, but then there's Uniform Killer Golf and Glider 1 that's there, and then you've got Victor 8 and
Zulu
Zulu with their own little battle going on.
Right. Well, and now we have a potential fly in the ointment. I've just received a message from the competition director, Maddie Temple. It says 2 bombers coming in, which she means is fire bombers.
Well, that's they're there for the finish line, are they? They're going to give the spray.
Well, unfortunately, if they need this airport, they can close this airspace down.
Okay.
And if then the finish line is over the top of the airfield. Now they might only come in here briefly. It depends on what's happening out there.
Yeah.
If there's we're in a high fire day, total fire band, very high height of the fire season. If there's a fire out there and they need to start using this airfield in order to fight the fires, then it could be that the operation here is compromised and we can't actually finish the contest, which would be gutting for Mac. It would be gutting for Mac because he's in 3rd position.
Yeah,
not in 2nd position.
That's right, but that's sometimes the game. And but there's no fires out there in the immediate area that I've seen.
Yeah, so
I can't see any reason why. I think it would just be a refueling stop, probably, or
yes. Well, they were talking about. Oops, where are we going here? If we if they shut down the airspace, it might only be for 5 minutes, or it could be for the rest of the afternoon.
Okay.
We don't know. And they're still a little way out, but it could be that they're here while just as they're coming into the finish.
Something that the hang gliding people do is that they say, okay, now's the finish time, and then they minus 5 minutes, and whoever's in front from 5 minutes from now, behind now, is gets the points for the day.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know about the rules with the Grand Prix.
It's probably highly unlikely that we can do that, but just another reference.
Well, can you do that in normal gliding competitions here in Australia?
No, but I kind of think that we should, because if you get a day that there is thunderstorms come up that becomes too dangerous, you guys be out flying, or maybe there's an occasion like this here where an airfield gets shut down. The competition director could say something like stop task. Now all we're doing is everything's only about safety, which of course it always should be. And then 5 minutes prior to that time where they've called the safety is where everyone gets scored to. And that way you still get a valid day. It's not advantaging anyone because they don't know what time it is and where they were.
That's right. It's just it's an interesting point.
Just a thought.
Yeah,
you never know.
It is.
But then again, I've never had to. There's only been a few times when we probably could have stopped the task in Australia.
Yeah, they didn't mention that as a possibility at briefing today. Nobody mentioned it, but I think with the Grand Prix, I presume it's all about the coming over the finish line.
Absolutely.
So they'd want the finish line as
different format.
Yeah. But anyway, fingers crossed that just because the bombers are coming in.
Yeah. Well,
but if they
nice to get a distance, so you can get a distance here by selecting the ruler. Create a measurement.
Which one is that?
This one here.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. Then create a new measurement.
Yep.
And then you can click Peter, and then the waypoint, and then home. Yep. And then the home, and we can see that they've got 65 kilometres to go.
Right. So that's not going to be very far off.
Yeah. So if they're doing. So then we can see what sort of speeds they're doing. You can see they're doing 230 knots. So doing 4 kilometres a minute, something like that. Yeah, so you can try and work it out when they should be getting home.
Very soon, in fact, is basically it. So 65 kilometres at 120 kilometres an hour, so 200 kilometres an hour. So they should be. I hope that we don't get banjaxed by the bombers.
Yeah, so maybe we could write to the CD and say, well, what's their ETA?
Well, I was just going to look up on
provide some excitement.
Well, she will tell us if they knew. No, what am I after? Okay, that's what I'm trying to go to. Go. Okay, so there are 65 kilometers to go and counting down.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of doubt on final glide.
Finish measurement or cancel or whatever you like if you want to remove it.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
And then delete.
Ah.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Tips from Adam Woolley. We're very happy to have here, helping with the commentary. I wish you'd been here all week. But,
Well, I wish I was flying all week, but that's right.
So, and you're going to be taking your glider tomorrow, whenever up to Waikerie.
That's right. Actually, I'll probably give it to Jack Tonkin to fly to Waikerie for me.
Yep.
Okay. And then he's going to crew for myself and Bruce Taylor next week.
Yep.
And I've got to go see the bank and do a few adult things.
Right.
Tomorrow. But it looks like another great day. So.
Yes, it does. And I'm just looking here, trying to see if I can see the fire bombers on flight radar to see them coming in and how far they might be. But it could be very.
So an update here. Got Peter Temple with 15 to 1 required. I guess that's to the point. I'm feeling like that's probably to the point.
And so
they're at about. Let's have a look. We know they're about 60k out, and they're at about 6,000 feet. AGL, so yeah, they're definitely on a 30 to 1 LD glide. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Let's have a go. Look back at Glide and Seek, which was giving there you are. The leapfrogging head was giving us more accurate data a minute ago. So Gulf India Stripe is 1 second ago.
2.6, cruising at 2.10, and then Pete Temple in an ASG 29, 280 at 2.5,
and still keeping him out.
And then Zulu
and Zulu
230.
Right.
Yeah, 3 seconds ago. So they're all King George. Yeah, they're all bumping along there at 100 odd knots now. I think they're pretty safe.
They're pretty safe for they're just racing in now.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they don't all of a sudden competition over fire bombers coming in.
Yeah. I guess, that's right. It'd be a shame, wouldn't it? Because they're not far out now.
Oh. Well, I'm trying to find out on flight radar and I just unfortunately got the information on a glider coming in. But, anyway. So fingers crossed that we're all okay for a very exciting finish here after on the 6th race out of a potential 7 here at Gawler. We had one official practice day, which didn't work out very well because the trough was coming through, and the trough went through, and the gliders launched, and they weren't able to climb, and they all landed back. And then the next day was a no-fly day, and then since then we've now had 6 racing days.
Okay.
With improving conditions all week. Now, as competitions go, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Absolutely. I definitely can't complain about that. There's a big hang gliding competition going on over in Victoria. I think they think they'll fly every day this coming week for them, and hopefully at Waikerie we'll get similar. But as the South Australian conditions usually are, you get these cracking days once every 2 weeks, and then you get the other part, which 5,000 foot in the blue.
Yes, so we had 3 days of 5,000 foot in the blue. Then we had an improving day where I think it was more like 7,000 feet in the blue, and then we've had 2 days with thermals up above 12,000 feet. And today is a trough day where the trough is traveling right over the top of us, and there was the potential in the forecast for it to overdevelop and be very gusty here on the ground. Looking out the window, it doesn't look very gusty or windy, and the trough seems to be a little bit to the east of us. So instead, it's turned out to be a cracker, as you say, an absolutely brilliant-looking gliding day.
Yeah, so we got Pete's got 260 kbh now. Mac is 270, and Zulu.
And the control point is down here.
Oh, Pete's going to warp speed. There's 2 of them now.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're carrying multiple trackers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you need to.
And on this one, they're all showing up. On the other, wouldn't be so nice if this one would start working, but it doesn't seem to want to. Nope. Let's try again. Okay, maybe it is working now. Let's hope. Okay, we might have Silent Wings finally coming in and working for us, and that's the view from David Peach's computer.
His flight deck.
That's right, from his glider. So he's got Mac and Pete Temple out ahead of him, as you can see the control point there. So finally, Silent Wings comes into its own today, which is great. Better late than never. So that's the view as they're coming in, looking at the beer cans in the finish line.
Lovely.
And we'll just have a quick look at the overview and see if that works. Yes, there we are. There's Dave Peach, Pete Temple, Mac Ichikawa once again behind Pete Temple. And this is the view from Mac Ichikawa. He's only got Pete Temple in front of him. I'm afraid he's been looking at the rear end of that ASG29 all week.
Yeah, so it's they look like they're live and updating the stuff there. So it's saying, I guess it's saying Pete's in third there because he's lower, I suppose, rather than Escorta's in front. So with Mac with Mac at 2.5, about the same height, yeah, he needs the glider performance to pull him through, but you never know. He might just get a couple of little rising gusts along the way that just increase the energy.
But don't they have too much height for this far out, do you think?
Yeah, I guess it's just about picking that optimum cruise speed to get you all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice. It's tracking, give us a little visualization. We know that they're not far behind each other.
Yeah, they're not far. They're in there.
And this is distance to go. That's you just goal arrival height. That's wrong, clearly.
Yes, that's right. It hasn't been giving us a right. So here's a bit of an overview again. So that's Dave Peach. He's having a very good day today, keeping up with them. And there's Mac Ichikawa with Pete Temple in the lead once again in his comfortable position. If he wins today and gets another 7 points,
you'll be very happy.
Then I think he'll have to be the one who pays for the beers tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a look at the. Hopefully, this will give us a nice view of when they're coming over the beer cans at the end. Just make sure what the hell we're seeing here. All right, so transition back to here for the moment. Excuse me. Right. Well, thank you for all the viewers who've been with us this week and bearing with us through some of the technical glitches that we've had with various things. But I think it's been basically all gone very well, and we've had great guest speakers, including Adam Woolley with me here today. Thanks very much, Adam.
Nice to be here.
And okay, it looks like the best view we're going to get at the moment is from the cockpit. So here they're coming up to the control point.
Go get a glass of water.
Yeah, sure.
Be right back.
Yeah. Okay, so here they are. And Pete Temple is now down to 1,300 meters. As he very rapidly approaches the control point. Okay, so Silent Wings is now right up to date as they approach the finish. This is the view from Dave Peach's glider. Let's have a go to Gulf India and see what it's like, how close he feels he is. And this is Pete Temple. So Pete Temple is coming up to the control point, which gives him 13 kilometers to go. And he'll be there very soon. So
Very soon.
Yeah, we just need the bombers to keep away for just another few minutes.
So Pete with 162 kVH, G1 with Pete's one. I need to reselect. That's it.
So he's got 7 kilometers, less than 7 kilometers. Call it 6 kilometers now to the control point, and then 13 kilometers to go. So it's just another few minutes. And see if Silent Wings is still giving us the view from the cockpit.
It's from Peter, is it?
Yes, so we can see him go through the control point. We'll go back to David Peach. There he is, David Peach.
Bit lower, so we know Peachy's not going to catch them.
No, but if he comes
Mac's a bit lower.
But if he comes in third today, this definitely upsets Jeff Brown, who's currently in second position, and he might be knocked off the podium altogether. And Mac Ichikawa would be in second position. So he'll be very happy about that. I'm not sure where Jeff Brown is. He's not showing up there. Let's see if he's showing up on the other one. Where's Jeff Brown? King George, as I now know he's titled for.
That's the registration of.
Yes.
Used to be an ASW22, and quite a well-known one, of course. So.
Who was it? That one?
I just always know it's King George. The name will probably come to me at some stage.
All right. So that's from only a few seconds ago, and he's at 1,800 meters, and yes, so it looks like he unfortunately is out of contention now. And Dave Peach could having a very good day and hopefully coming in third position.
I think so.
And if we go very quickly to the results, if that happened to Dave Peach, you would get 4 points, I think, which would put him on 13. So actually, Jeff Brown would still be okay, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So Jeff Brown would be in third position and knocked back to third position with Mac Ichikawa coming in second position. And let's go back to see Pete Temple going through the turn point, through the control point, and there he is.
Yeah, and Mac's lower, so it's... So Mac just needs to make sure he gets home now.
He needs to make sure he gets home. It doesn't matter if he beats Pete today.
No, it'd be nice, but it's not essential.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but it's not going to make it. All he has to do is beat King George, and he'll be in second position.
That's right. And outlanding right at the end is not a good idea.
No. So here's Pete Temple going through the.
You can see he's doing.
He's now gone through the control point, and we'll just watch. Pete Temple's gone through the control point. And there's Mac Ichikawa.
Maybe you could put it to their current altitude.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay.
It might help quite nicely. Back maybe. Total energy.
Yep.
Okay.
So Mac's at 1,100 meters, very comfortable. Jeff Brown's further back. Pete Temple's at 1,000 meters with 13 kilometers to go. So he's hugely
surprising. Mac's a little bit high. It doesn't appear that way, but.
Well, he's a little bit behind him. Now, can they speed up now to 150 knots? Is that a good idea?
Well, I guess they can go as high as V&E to the until they cross the line. But of course, they don't want to cross lower because it's a time penalty.
Well, it just seems that they've got enough altitude to go 13 kilometers. What is the V&E on the V3 with 48 kilometers?
Probably about 140. I don't know. 146.
Yeah.
I just look for the red line, but I think it might be about 146 knots, something like this.
Right.
It's only fast enough.
Indeed.
I haven't been there very much.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at this anyway. The Gulf India, as we were saying, doesn't need to. There's nothing he can do. He doesn't need to beat Pete Temple. He's now gone through the control point, and they're dashing now to the 13 kilometers to the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah. He's.
I'll have a look and see how Pete sees the finish line in the sky. He'll be feeling very, very happy. Yeah. Not only has he won the championship, but he has won in absolute style. With I think that I've lost track of his day wins. I think it's his 4th day win.
I think there's been how many days that have you flown?
6.
6. So this will be probably his 5th then, is it?
Yeah, is it even his 5th? Every evening we have the podium, and every evening I've been taking photographs of Pete Temple on the and trying to get him to do different things on the podium so they can make the picture look a bit more interesting.
Don't act like his favourite animal or something.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Good idea. That's what we'll do tonight. So tonight, after this is all finished, everybody will be in the bar, and I'm sure it'll be a very good atmosphere to be with everybody, because it's been a very successful competition. It's been great to be at a Grand Prix, isn't it? It's a really great type of competition. Great to watch and great to be a part of. And I think the pilots really love it. And very immediate.
It certainly is a great format, and hopefully we can see more of it in Australia. Hopefully bigger fields, and of course, just coming. Well, this year's weather hasn't been so flash until now, and of course the COVID's finished. So I think hopefully this year Australian gliding will wake up and get bigger and bigger, and so will the rest of the world, and strength to strength. I guess looks like he's pushing rather hard now at the moment. He's ASI.
Yeah, because he's now down to 342 meters. I think it's 183 meters is the minimum altitude.
Okay.
So he's if we were outside now, where the others are, sitting in the clubhouse, they'll go right down the runways. You can see their clubhouse is just down to the left of the screen there.
Hello.
And crossing the two runways, going down 2-3 at the moment. Runway 2-3 heading south as Pete Temple goes through the finish line first.
Penalties.
No, 228 meters, so he's above the minimum height. Well done.
Your third position, following Mack in maybe.
Trying to.
Yeah. How far was he? He was probably a minute or so out.
That's right. The last 2 days in a row, he's beaten Mack by 1 minute.
Congratulations, Pete. Very an awesome show of your ability and your craft. It's in South Australian blue conditions and even on these convergence days, very strong competitor.